This episode of the Burnout Recovery Podcast is brought to you by MEGA, your medical indemnity partner. Whether you're starting out in your career or have decades of experience, MEGA helps you thrive with support that goes beyond insurance. Enjoy travel benefits like complimentary travel insurance and Qantas points on your membership, plus education, medico-legal support, access to career coaching and wellbeing resources. Visit mega.com.au to learn more. Insurance issued by Medical Insurance Australia, which has not taken into account your objectives or situation. Before you make any decisions about our policies, please read our PDS and consider your needs. Call us for a copy or visit mega.com.au.
Welcome to the Burnout Recovery Podcast, a guiding resource dedicated to healthcare professionals on their journey to overcoming burnout. Spearheaded by Dr. Joe Braid, a certified professional coach and rehabilitation physician.
Hello and welcome back to the Burnout Recovery Podcast. I'm Dr. Joe Braid, your host, a doctor of over 20 years. And if this is your first time listening to the podcast, wishing you a very warm welcome here. So this is episode 197, and I am genuinely excited about what we're starting today. Over the next 10 episodes, we are diving into one theme: boundaries. I'll be talking about why they're so hard to set and why they matter so much and how to actually hold them with yourself, with your team, with your patients, with your family. We're going to cover holidays, delegation, part-time work, leadership, technology, and I have a couple of guests joining me along the way too. But today we start at the beginning, because before you can set a boundary with anyone else, you have to understand why your brain is fighting you on it in the first place. Let's get into it. I want to start with something that has nothing to do with medicine and healthcare. It's about tennis. So I've been playing tennis on and off for the past 6 years. In the pandemic, a group of us started to get together on a Friday morning, and we have had wonderful lessons and played social tennis as a result of that. In fact, I was playing last night and I've had a hit this morning as well. Not always, usually so much back to back in the week, but really it's one of my favorite, de-stress movement approaches that I really love to use through the week and love the social connection as well. So I use tennis analogies a lot in keynotes and workshops because I think it strips the whole concept of boundaries back to something really simple. In tennis, the ball is either in or out. Your serve either lands in the box or it doesn't. Your opponent's return either lands inside the line or outside of it. There is no ambiguity. There's no vibe check, and the ball is either on one side of the line or another. And once you know the rules, you know exactly where you stand. Like literally, you know where you're allowed to hit the ball, you know what happens if it goes out, and this is the bit I really love. Nobody apologizes for the line existing. Nobody stands at the net and says, "Sorry, your shot was out. I hope that's okay with you." It's not rude to call a ball out. It's not unkind. It's just the rule. And the line doesn't care about your feelings, and neither do you when you're the one calling it. So compare that to how most of us operate with boundaries in real life. Someone asks us to take on an extra shift, cover a colleague's clinic, answer one more email after hours, and instead of a clear line, we've got fog. We don't know where the edge is until we've already blown past it and we're standing there resentful, exhausted, wondering how we got here again. And when we do finally say no, we wrap it in about 4 apologies. "I'm so sorry. I really wish I could. I feel terrible," but we treat the boundary itself as the rude thing rather than treating the constant erosion of our own capacity as the actual problem. So here's a joke I use in my talks, and it usually gets a laugh because everybody recognizes it. In tennis, you don't say, "Sorry, that's out." It's either in or it's out. That's it. That is the whole sentence. And that's actually one phrase I really want to build this entire podcast series around because it's one of the biggest lessons of my own burnout journey. In my burnout recovery, I really had to learn this sentence: no is a full sentence. You don't need the apology. You don't need the 4-paragraph justification. You don't need to make yourself smaller so the other person feels more comfortable, in or out, and that is allowed to be enough. And I'll be honest, learning to say no without immediately over-explaining myself has taken me years, and I still catch myself doing the apology loop sometimes. And this is not a character flaw. It's a pattern most of us were never taught to interrupt. So why is this so hard? Why can we call a line on a tennis court without a second thought, but calling a boundary in our actual lives makes us want to disappear into the floor? The neuroscience backs this up, and it comes down to a few things. First, uncertainty is expensive for your brain. Dr. Amy Arnstein's research at Yale, which I've referenced before on this podcast, shows that your prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for decision-making and judgment, is highly sensitive to stress and ambiguity. A tennis line is certain. Your workload, your after-hours emails, your capacity on any given day, those are ambiguous. And ambiguity keeps your prefrontal cortex working overtime, running the same decision over and over because there's no clear line telling it when to stop. Second, there's the social threat response. Humans are wired for connection and belonging. And disagreement, even a small, reasonable one like declining a request, can register in the brain in a similar way to social rejection. Dr. Naomi Eisenberger's work on social pain has shown that the same neural regions that process physical pain also light up during social exclusion. So when you imagine saying no and picture the other person's disappointment, your brain isn't being dramatic. It's treating that disappointment as a genuine threat to be avoided. And that's why the apology loop exists. You're not being polite. You're managing a threat response. And third, and this is the one that I think really matters for today, every boundary you haven't set yet is sitting in your head as unresolved cognitive load. So this is called the Zeigarnik effect, first described by psychologist Bloomer Zeigarnik, and it's well established in cognitive psychology. Unfinished tasks and unresolved decisions take up more mental space than finished ones. The closed loop idea? Every time you think, I really should say something about this, and then don't, that decision doesn't go away. It just sits there, quietly draining your working memory. So think about that for a moment. Every unset boundary in your life right now, every yes you didn't mean, every line you haven't drawn, it's not neutral. It's active cognitive load. And it's part of why you're tired before the day has even properly started. So the good news is that the opposite is also true. So a clear boundary, once it's set, actually frees up your cognitive capacity. It's the tennis line again. You know where the line is, and then you communicate to those around you that the line relates to, so they're clear on what the line is as well. So let's bring this into something usable using my 4 pillars. Mindset. Start noticing the apology loop. This week, just notice. Don't even change anything yet. Every time you're about to say no and you feel the urge to over-explain or apologize first, that noticing alone starts to interrupt the pattern. And when you're ready, try this. Replace the apology with a clean, calm line. Not, I'm so sorry, I just don't think I can, but that doesn't work for me. In or out. Support. This is where boundaries with yourself and boundaries with others actually overlap. If you've never set a particular boundary before, the first time is definitely always the hardest, the same way learning any new rule feels awkward before it feels automatic. Tell one trusted colleague or friend what you're trying to practice. I'm working on not apologizing when I say no. And having one person who knows that makes it easier to hold the line the next time it's tested. Movement. Here's a small physical tool. Before you respond to a request you're unsure about, take one full breath and physically pause. Literally step back from your desk or your phone for about 30 seconds. That small gap interrupts the automatic yes and gives your prefrontal cortex a chance to catch up before your social threat response answers for you. Finally, sleep. Decision fatigue compounds. The research is clear that sleep-deprived brains default harder to well-worn patterns, and for most of us, the well-worn pattern is saying yes. If you know you've got a conversation coming up where you need to hold a boundary, protecting your sleep beforehand isn't indulgent, it is tactical. And here's the tool specific to today's episode, the Line Audit. Pick one area of your life, work or home, and ask, where is my line actually unclear right now? Not where do I feel resentful, but start with, where is the rule undefined? Because usually the resentment follows the ambiguity. So once you can name the actual line that's not clear, holding it gets dramatically easier. If this is resonating with you, this is exactly the work that I've built into No is a Full Sentence, my boundary scripts resource. It gives you the actual words for the moments where you know you need a line but you freeze on what to say. There's a base version and an upgraded masterclass tier if you want to go deeper with video walkthroughs. This brand new course is live now at drjoebraid.com/store. STORE, and it's the perfect companion to this whole series. Here are a few questions to sit with this week. Where in your life is the boundary genuinely unclear, not just uncomfortable to hold? Where do you find yourself apologizing for something that isn't actually wrong? And what would it feel like to treat one boundary this week the way you treat a line call in tennis? Calm, clear, no apology required. Your action step, pick one boundary this week, one, and practice holding it without the apology. In or out, that's the whole sentence. Next week, we're looking at what happens when boundaries meet annual leave, because for a lot of us, the boundary doesn't just get blurry. It disappears completely the second we're meant to be resting, and that is episode 198, and I suspect a few of you already know exactly what I'm talking about. If this episode landed for you, please share it with a colleague who needs to hear that no is allowed to be a full sentence. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Burnout Recovery Doctor or on LinkedIn as Dr. Joe Braid. And if you're not already getting my weekly newsletter, The Sunday Long Game, that's where I go deeper on all of this, and you can subscribe at drjoebraid.com/subscribe. Until next week, be human first. Everything else will follow. Ready to take the next step in your burnout recovery journey? Visit drjoebraid.com for free resources, all 150 plus podcast episodes, and information about my keynote speaking. Links are in the show notes. Your well-being matters. Protect the asset that is you. Be your best you. Rely on MEGA for your protection and support, serving doctors for over 125 years through insurance, education, medical legal advice, and member benefits designed to help you thrive and succeed. Insurance issued by Medical Insurance Australia, which has not taken into account your objectives or situation. Before you make any decisions about our policies, please read our PDS and consider your needs. Call us for a copy or visit mega.com.au.